And now I am very proud to introduce one of the world's most admired couturiers, Ralph Rucci. Now, Mr. Rucci graduated from FIT in 1980, and within 1 year was showing his first made-to-order collection. From the start, he was guided by his own unique vision, his high principles, and commitment to excellence. Exquisite craftsmanship, meticulous lines, and gorgeous detail distinguish every item he has designed. In 2002, he was invited to show a couture collection in Paris as part of its official calendar, the only American designer to have that distinction, and he has shown there numerous times since, most recently this past January. His clothes are in the permanent collections of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and our own museum at FIT, among many others. And he has been the recipient of numerous prestigious awards. Mr. Rucci is an artist who has remained true to himself throughout his long and brilliant career. So please, join me in welcoming Ralph Rucci to the podium.
Good afternoon. May I? Thank you. It's so warm, and if there's one thing you have to know about yourself before I start speaking, it's know what you look good in and out. Years ago.
I'm sorry.
Good. Years ago, when I first started to get involved with design, and I had a fur license, and the fur hats that I did, I always wanted one. And every time I had one, it always looked horrible. So I did this for protocol and for my dear friend Joyce. So Dr. Brown, students, faculty, honorary guests, trustees, I'm honored to be here to share a few thoughts of what I'd like to tell you. I think where you are right now, how special it is in the world, that you're just a microcosm of this macrocosm of young people who are graduating and starting off in a whole new world, where so many distinct things are faced with you that have to do with moral principle, not just opposed to not just your learned work and education at FIT. And let me share something about me. I arrived in New York in the mid-70s. I had already gone to college, and I studied literature and philosophy. While I was there, I was bit by the obsession and the bug of fashion. And it was done because I did research constantly. And I want you to understand, research is a vigor that you have to do every day of your life in whatever field you're from. It's part of the self-teaching process that never stops until you're gone. And through that process, I went to the library and I would look through volumes of the old Vogues and old Bazaars and French Vogues, and I began to distill what I liked from what I didn't. And I came up with perhaps 4 or 5 names. There was the great mentor, Balenciaga, his protege, Hubert de Givenchy, Madame Gray, Chanel, probably Patou, and in America, there was James Galanos. He's an American. Now, I just don't want to speak to fashion people today, but fashion students, I think it's of utter essence that you know everything about the profession and the people who created the field. Not just as a company today called Balenciaga for that word, and they sell this. The master of the history of fashion is the real Cristobal Balenciaga. So I came up with these names, and I discovered that there was a man in New York making clothes. His name was Halston. And so it hit me. I looked and I studied his work, and I said, this is the person, the only person I wish to work for. So without making that piece too drawn out, I concocted a plan, and I went up to the salon that he kept in New York on 68th and Madison Avenue with my sister, and I pushed forward, not too aggressively, with respect, and tried to get my foot in the door for an interview. But they said, "What are you going to do here? I think it's better if you take some classes, perhaps." And they were correct. So I came up to FIT. I took the classes. Luckily, I didn't have to take academic classes because I already did those in college at Temple University. So before I had finished the technical classes at FIT, which, by the way, may I share with you, if the curriculum was X, I did the curriculum, but then I spent my own hours late into the night, and I said, all right, let's try the whole thing on the bias. Let's cut it like this backwards, lift it upside down, experiment, find your voice. You see, these are the things that are going to keep you afloat, that are going to keep you afloat when you have to weather the storms that crashed against 7th Avenue a couple of years ago. I'm sorry to say there's virtually nothing left there, but there's possibility. So anyway, I went to Halston. I had a job interview. I was hired. I thought the world was incredible. I was receiving $125 a week before taxes. I thought it was incredible. But I was there, and I was observing, and it was the heart of the universe then, the most extraordinary, chic, important house in the United States and in Europe. Possibly there was Saint Laurent in Paris and Halston in the United States. I was impatient. I have a very moral mind. I didn't like what a lot was happening up there. And in 1980, I showed my first collection on my own at the old Westbury Hotel on 69th and Madison Avenue. And I started to set a precedent. There are those that respect me today, many, thank you God, and there are those who think I have a big attitude about it. Because I set a standard, and I'm the only one that can judge the work before I open the door and allow others in. I hope you can embrace that concept and see it not as egotism, but as a standard by which you move forward, you grow, you learn, and you, whatever field you're in. Now, I've been in business. This year celebrates 41 years. I think, as Dr. Brown had mentioned to you, the greatest accomplishment has been twofold. When we were invited in 2001 to be on the official calendar in Paris for the haute couture, it was the first and only time an American house has had that honor bestowed on them. But it wasn't just I wasn't calling the label then Ralph Rucci. The label was called Chado, C-H-A-D-O. Chado is the 14th century Japanese ceremony of 331 steps of finally presenting someone with a cup of tea. The pageantry, the humility, the simplicity, and then the final presentation. And I've always been sick, tremendously sick at the pretension of this industry. I'm sorry, it just is. So I sort of haven't participated a lot, but I put that on the label as a symbol, what we represented. So I changed my label, I put my name back on the label eventually. That's what I'm most proud of, doing that. But the second thing is the team that I created was one of the most important ateliers in the world. May I say, Kathy Horn, she was the New York Times style fashion correspondent for many years and a great friend. And she said it's probably the greatest atelier outside of Paris next to Chanel. And it was. 67 people made up this team that could create heaven. They did it in unison. They did it with each other with excitement and deep respect. I'm telling you this not about my story, but remember, you are only as good as those that also surround you. It's all a unified effort, which I'll now draw to the front, and Dr. Joyce spoke of it. So you're entering this world with your talent. You're a microcosm within the macrocosm. There's wars. There's a decrease in aesthetic appreciation. But there's been a shift. Those of you that are architects, those of you that are merchandisers, fashion. I know that there are 47 curriculum in the school, so I asked previously, can I have a list? And when I saw 47, I said, how do I adjust all of you? You're the creative mind. You're the Freudian mind. You will act together, and there'll be possibilities that none of us can ever even possibly dream of. You're going to be there to help deliver them. The one most important thing to remember always is an award means absolutely nothing. Usually, if you feel the sense of accomplishment, you celebrate that with your loved ones, your team, or quite frankly, by yourself in a very quiet space. The most important thing you can maintain is your humility. Because I must tell you, your humility is your direct conversation with God, whatever you think that means. But you participate with that idea. And that's what's going to give you additional vision and strength to do whatever you want. I don't know if someone said it, I think it was said, the world is your oyster. Be original. Take chances. Always go into yourself to seek the conclusion. Don't listen to too many opinions because they're not worth it. You waste time doing that. I send you my deep appreciation for being able to be here because I want to just share this with you. I'm not supposed to be speaking this long, but I had a hard time when Dr. Brown called me to ask me if I wanted to do this. Because, of course, the first thing I say, of course, anything for you. But as it came closer to the date, I had to go in deeply, and I had to also recognize certain disappointments that I have within myself. Normal. Recently, more than usual. And I said, how am I going to speak and to these young, wonderful people and give them that spark? And I'd thought a lot about it, and this past weekend I basically remained in so I could think and talk to myself. And there's no such thing as failure. That's the piece. If you feel a couple of steps back, but I'm telling you, there's years ahead and so many things. Never, ever become morose over disappointment. God bless you, and the best of luck.
Thank you, Ralph. I now invite to the podium FIT trustee Joan Hornig for conferral of the honorary degree for Mr. Rucci. So, Trustee Hornig, I have the honor to present Ralph Rucci, a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts, honoris causa. Please join me. So you are America's preeminent, some say only, couturier, a visionary creator. You are recognized by clients, critics, and peers as the finest craftsman currently working in fashion. Precision and luxury, crafted to perfection, and high art are phrases often invoked to describe your designs. Your discipline is legendary. Your stitching is exquisite. You resist trends. You insist on the best. And that is why your work, inspired by philosophy and art, is like no other. And we are exceptionally proud to call you an FIT fashion design alumnus. Your clientele is notable as your singular designs, strong, confident women with an innate sense of style who appreciate quality more than trends. Your latest venture, RR331, launched in 2016 and shows the brilliance that the world has come to expect, sheer perfection. You were invited to show in Paris by the French fashion authority, the Chambre syndicale de la haute couture, an achievement shared by only one other American designer. A star on the Fashion Walk of Fame, the National Cooper Hewitt Design Award, and the inaugural award from the museum at FIT are only a few of the many honors bestowed upon you. Now, FIT's mission is to prepare students for professional excellence, and in fashion, the closest synonym for excellence is Rucci. But as a role model for our graduates, you embody qualities that inspire admiration in any field: rigorous thinking, attention to detail, dedication, confidence, unparalleled creativity, and expansive vision. So in recognition of your rare gifts and extraordinary career, we are pleased and proud that the State University of New York, through the Fashion Institute of Technology, bestows upon you the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts. And by virtue of the authority vested in me and with the concurrence of the faculty of the State University of New York, I confer upon you, Ralph Rucci, the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts honoris causa, and invest you with all of the rights and privileges thereunto. And in token thereof, I hand you this diploma and direct Trustee Hornig to vest you with the hood appropriate to your degree. Congratulations. We'll have to put the hood on you.
Here's Adora Duncan. Well, I'm going to keep this. What an honor. Did you hear what Dr. Joyce Brown said? Now I have the privilege of conferring on information. I said to you, I left my talk with the idea of humility. I had a father who was particularly humble, and he would be beaming. He loved my career, but because he would come up to the shows and Whoopi Goldberg would say, "Let's get married, Pops," and he would take pictures with social ladies, and he loved and had fun. But this, quite simply, I accept in honor of my extraordinary father. One thing, a doctor of the arts is something very special to me because I didn't arrive here in any particular way except my own. So that's what I'd like to offer to all of you. It's your own path that will allow you to arrive to where you're meant to be and what's already planned. Okay, bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Rucci.